Chapter 139 to 140. It was morning, almost a month after the end of the war, and Rei sat behind the kitchen table in his newly built house in the Yuzushio, trying to doodle seals in the middle of the circle made of 9 paper tags with samples of all of the bijou. Seriously, it was a strenuous job, and he was at it for quite a while now. The things I do for my girls. Rei sniffed and wiped an imaginary tear before his face split in a shit-eating wide grin. But damn, having a personal bijou will be so worth spending the time on it. Suddenly naked Tsunade groggily walked into the kitchen, yawning while pressing the bedsheets to her breasts. Rei looked at her and smiled. Already awake? I thought it would take you more to recover, he cheekily stated, making Tsunade roll her eyes as she approached him and tenderly pecked his lips. If anything, stamina is my good point. Tsunade nuzzled her head into the crook of Rei's neck, while sleepily pulling her body into his lap. Yesterday's celebration took a whole lot out of even me, however. I doubt Conan will be up before noon. As for Ringo and Mei, I doubt they will walk today. Seriously, what the heck was vibration style? To think you can handle all 4 of us. Tsunade mock glared at Rei with a sullen pout. Senjutsu for the win. Rei's lips twitched in amusement. Shush. If I remember correctly, it was mostly you who. Rei was interrupted when Tsunade pressed her lips to his again. What happened in the bedroom stays in the bedroom. Tsunade whispered while giving him a warning look, causing Rei to give her an amused, accepting hum as his hands snaked around her waist and pulled her naked body closer into his chest, only the thin bedsheet and Rei's clothes separating them, before surprising her with a sudden make-out session as he stuck his tongue into her mouth, causing Tsunade's arms to lock behind his neck and press his head more into hers. She really missed these kinds of mornings during her time in Konoha. After 5 minutes they separated, a trail of saliva still connecting their mouths as their infatuated eyes stared at each other. Tsunade was starting to get increasingly aware of Rei's hands tenderly rubbing her sides, while Rei enjoyed how Tsunade's fingers lovingly played with his haar. Their lips again met, this time in a quick peck as a loud growl of Tsunade's stomach interrupted them, creating an awkward silence between the 2 lovers. I am going to get you something to eat, Rei said after a while, making the embarrassed Tsunade stand and relocate to the chair next to Rei's one, letting him go to prepare her breakfast. And here I really wanted him to bend me over the table. Tsunade sullenly laid her head on the table, pouting while letting the bedsheet covering her fall on the ground. When Rei came back to the table after 5 minutes, he wasn't really surprised that Tsunade was naked. In the past month since she came back from Konoha to permanently stay with him, they had sex almost on daily basis, so sitting next to her naked form didn't really do anything to his focus anymore. He sat into his previous place, while placing the plate with sandwiches and some bacon in front of Tsunade. With a barely restrained smile, Rei watched as Tsunade, whose eyes were already closed as she laid on the table, first started cutely sniffing with her nose. Once, twice, thrice, before she was scrunching it and subconsciously leaning her head closer towards the food he prepared. I swear, your food should be banned as a very potent addictive drug. Tsunade huffed and raised her upper body from the table, with an annoyed groan mixing with a delightful moan, before she started eating, and Rei turned back to his little ceiling project, enjoying occasional satisfied sighs from Tsunade. By the way, Conan's clone dropped off the reactions of the various villages to our little bijou chakra gathering a month ago. Rei started after he saw with the corner of his eye that Tsunade was finished with eating and was now just licking the tips of her fingers like a lazy cat. So, she drawled. Why would their reaction even matter? She laid back onto the table with a content sigh, causing a small blush on Rei's cheeks when he saw how her breasts squished against the table. Needless to say, Tsunade's content smile only widened at his reaction, and her eyes mischievously sparkled, but she kept herself from commenting. It matters a lot, really. The Kazekage, for example, decided to get rid of Pakura sooner than expected. Rei said, not raising his head from his ceiling project. So this Pakura will be our new sister? Tsunade asked, a bit interested. No matter that it grated at her pride, and she promised to get more stamina. Yesterday Rei fucked all 4 of them to the ground, so she naturally welcomed another addition to their family. Pride be damned. Rei shrugged. I like the girl. No, I like her a lot. Unique bloodline, a mastery at kunai handling that could potentially rival even Ringo's sword skills. She was a solid S-rank ninja for years. Plus I already made my preparations. The rest depends on her. If she is willing, then yes, she will become one of your sisters, the last one of them, in fact. I don't intend to breach the number 5, mind you. Rei hummed while erasing the entire left side of the seal with a frown, as he understood the foundation was fundamentally flawed. Last one. Tsunade muttered under her nose before sighing dejectedly. Yup, definitely have to step up my stamina training, and potentially pull the girls through it too, if Rei decides to refuse taking more than 5 girls. Damn, such a pain. She huffed before refocusing on the important stuff to get her current predicament out of her mind. What about the other hidden villages? Ray flashed Tsunade a knowing smile before turning back to his seals. Well, the Raikage actually made us the public enemy #1 when he saw the message in the training field where Nibi Jinchuriki usually trained. I heard his pissed half-scowl, half-snarl. An exaggeratedly twitching left eyebrow and hilariously twitching chest from anger was a quite ridiculous sight. He lightly commented and Tsunade snorted at the mental image. Oh, and his hair supposedly stood up from how shocked he was too. Ray added, causing Tsunade to be unable to hold it in as she started openly snickering. I can see how that information matters. She commented between her snickers. Then there is the Mizukage. Ray continued, fortunately for us, Ringo was not seen, so he has no idea it was us who infiltrated the cave which helped the girl run. She still died by impaling herself on her teammate's lightning jut's dash. Chidori, Tsunade nodded. It was a shocker when I heard the Namikaze brag about the new technique of the Hataki brat. Ray smiled, knowing what would follow. And it was even better when I blatantly told the cheerful idiot that I saw it used by Kiri Ninja years ago, when he tried to register it as an A-rank original in front of the council. The Hataki brat was so furious, and even the good-natured Minato glared at me. She merrily laughed at the memory. Though their protests quickly quieted down when I used Chidori in front of the whole council, my eyebrows smugly raised at them. It is a known fact that lightning is not my nature, and I never really met with neither Minato or Kakashi, so they could not teach me the technique. Let me guess, you told them you thought it looked cool, so you learned it. Ray chuckled. Exactly. Tsunade beamed. Poor Kakashi didn't get his original move. Both shared a small laugh at that before Ray calmed down and continued with telling her what Conan's spy network found out. IWA has no idea anything ever happened to their Jinchuriki. The gender-confused guy must have been quite embarrassed at what happened to him. Tsunade smiled. And Konoha. Well, the blondie is neck-deep in paperwork while 2 of his students are dead, and another is depressed and he has no time to really juggle between his new position, his newly pregnant wife, and his last remaining student. I doubt he expected so much stress when he took up the hat. He probably didn't expect shit thrown at him by lazy civilians who just slide their own paperwork to him instead of doing it themselves either. Ray shrugged. There was a reason why he vehemently avoided any position of power in Kiri. Sure, his status as secretly pending Nuke-Nin was one, but he actually wanted to avoid being pulled into the political games and siding with one or the other side. Minato was currently between rock and hard place since wealthy civilians wanted the civilian council to stay even after the war ended. The clan heads wanted it to end, and the advisors didn't get swapped yet due to Minato not having enough time to consider their substitutes. So far, the counselors wanted the civilian council to stay, but that was more due to personal gains, rather than for the good of the village. G's paperwork actually only increased since the establishment of the civilian council, despite its main function, was to lessen the bureaucratic burden on the leader. Sad thing, becoming the big honcho. A truly sad fate, being unable to push work on somebody else. Ray gently shook his head, spotting that Tsunade actually fell asleep. He formed a chakra string and pulled the bedsheet from the ground, putting it over her shoulders while using chakra sealing method to channel temperature seals on the bedsheet to make sure Tsunade is warm and won't catch a cold. As he watched at her content smile as she slept, Ray sighed. In the end, everything he did was worth it if he could enjoy and share his happiness with his girls. Ray leisurely sat on the porch of his mansion in the Yuzushio, contently watching Mei and Ringo spar with weapons while hordes of his clones were rebuilding the village. He especially loved Mei's sullen exasperation at the bored and completely almost half-asleep look on Ringo's face. Well, at least we know Mei will not be a swordsman. Ray chuckled, sipping the tea Conan prepared for him. I guess. It is quite amusing how she is flailing her tanto around like a petulant child. Conan, who sat next to Ray, shook her head. Then again, pitting her against someone as skilled in Kenjutsu as Ringo is not providing a very beginner-friendly learning environment. She is certainly not giving up, though. Ray quipped. You know she is taking it as a way to bolster her stamina? Conan barely restrained herself from grinning. She at first tried to follow Tsunade in her suicide physical training, but she amusedly snorted. She didn't last for 3 hours. As if you lasted more than 6. Ray rolled his eyes, enjoying Conan's huff. Not my problem, she literally breaks, heals, re-breaks, and re-heals her body as she infuses chakra and healing chakra into her muscles, bones, and organs while she is in Sennin mode, her body brimming with Senjutsu chakra. It can't be called training. It's more of a self-torture. I doubt any interrogation squad would be able to break anyone who manages to get through 5 hours of that, no matter their method. The feeling of having your muscles slowly pulled from your bones is frankly disgusting, only surpassed by having your beating heart being repeatedly squeezed enough to constantly damage it, while she pumps healing and Senjutsu chakra through it. Conan shuddered, rubbing a spot on her ribcage. I am telling you, Tsunade is crazy. We should never give her a Kagaya to play with. It made her batshit insane. The best part? She, with a gleefully grinning expression, told us she cannot provide us with any pain-numbing drugs or jutsu, So we should just suck it up and take it as pain tolerance training. How fucked up is that? Conan was almost hyperventilating as she finished her rant. Needless to say, even Ray was surprised at Conan's outburst. I guess there is a first for everything, eh? He thought as silence fell on the two of them. Only the sounds of Conan's quickened breathing and the background noise of May and Ringo's fight interrupting it. Ray stared at blushing Conan in disbelief, as she averted her face to avoid his gaze before he started loudly laughing. So there really exists something that can break even your composure. Conan. I would like to see your reaction when she cuts you open and sticks her hand through the cut into your body before proceeding to grope your organs. Conan sullenly sniffed. Nobody told you to join her training. Ray shrugged uncaringly. You really have no care in the world, do you? She can kill herself by doing that. Conan sighed and Ray grew silent for a moment. It was only his serious look that prevented Conan from saying anything else. I can understand Tsunade and her reasons for doing it, Ray told Conan with a rueful smile. She is jealous, you see. He saw Conan was about to interrupt, but he just took hold of her hand and squeezed it, signaling for her to listen. You have your paper jutsu, which is disgustingly overpowered if applied in a correct way. You can throw meteorites made of earth chakra-hardened paper willy-nilly, Conan. Leveling a village is not really a problem for you. Then there is May, who has her own 2 bloodlines, with even more destructive power than yours. Do you really not see how that could make Tsunade feel a bit useless and jealous of you? Jealous? Why? She has would release and Shikatsumiyaku. Conan tilted her head. You and I have would release too. That really doesn't count. As for Shikatsumiyaku, that is exactly why she is undergoing such brutal training. If there is one thing Tsunade is proud of, it is not her would release, Sennin mode, or her medical knowledge. She is proud of her ability as a physical fighter, because that is seriously the only thing she is excelling in between the 3 of you. Tsunade could not passively strengthen her body with nature energy like Ray did every day almost all day. Honestly, take away all the ninjutsu variants with nature energy from Ray, he would still have an incredibly powerful body after almost over a decade of using that method. His way of strengthening it was gradual and took a lot of time, but he could honestly overpower Tsunade in Sennin mode. Tsunade actually approached Ray before she started with her insane body training. The punchline of every body strengthening technique, using chakra or any energy, was according to her repeated breaking of the cells, while recreating them stronger as chakra nourished them. This way, the body gradually became stronger. Hence, Tsunade decided to quicken the process. She is the best medic ninja in the world. She knows her limits and won't go beyond them, nor will she cripple herself. The stronger her body becomes, the easier and safer it will be for her to use the Shikatsumiyaku. That bloodline is really twisted. There are adverse effects of using it, and a whole lot of problems. And while most of those are negated by her Senju physique, Tsunade requires a strong body to use Shikatsumiyaku without much of a strain. Actually, nobody but she could use it to its best capacity, since any internal injury, no matter how small, caused by using that bloodline, she will discover and heal thanks to her vast medical experience. Tsunade is actually building herself into the juggernaut of the team, you know? Ray said, completely trusting that Tsunade knew what she was doing. Ray was really a bit curious about the limits of the Shikatsumiyaku when used by a senjutsu user with a ridiculously strong physical body. She wouldn't even need to use it outwardly. Just plating her organs and the inward side of the skin in internal bone armor would make her incredibly hard to injure, considering that the Shikatsumiyaku makes the bones way denser than normal, and with the addition of chakra. It was as if she wore plate mail made from chakra metal under her skin. You didn't mention Ringo. Conan tried to change the topic as it grew a bit uncomfortable. She didn't want to question Tsunade's capabilities as a medic, but her methods. Conan really didn't like seeing Tsunade suffer because of her damn pride. I doubt Tsunade counts Ringo as important enough to care about her as she cares for you and May. It will take a lot of time until that happens. Plus, Ringo is weak for now, and her specialty is clearly tracking in swords. No real world-breaking bloodline to speak of either. Ray hummed and Conan nodded in understanding. I see. She does have a long way to match even May, she said, her eyes straying towards the redhead, who was boredly deflecting May's wayward slashes. Conan really didn't think Ringo could survive May for longer than 3 minutes if the girl tried to really kill her. After all, it was Conan and Ray who trained her, and they put a whole lot more effort into it than when they trained Ringo. May was, in the end, loyal only to them since the start. Not really. I saw some of her ideas, and I can tell that May would really have to step up her game if she wanted to stay above Ringo in combat power. Ray's eyes sparkled with excitement. Despite everything, when it comes to lighting release, Ringo is a genius and she indeed deserves praise. Her newest technique is frankly mind-blowing. Conan just raised her eyebrow at him in a questioning way which made Ray frown a bit. Don't give me that look. I was really surprised when I saw what she came up with, and while we kept it a secret, my clones helped her with the technique for 3 months already. She is almost finished with it. Honestly, it can probably make her completely impervious to May's mist. Ray gleefully smirked. And I can't wait to see what face will the pipsqueak pull when she realizes it. Conan slightly smiled and shook her head before her eyes landed once again on the petite sword-wielding redhead, her opinion of her slightly changing. Maybe. I am a bit too harsh on Ringo. Maybe I am still underestimating her.